Hello, and welcome to the Newman Bond. My name is James Sanney. I'm the Video Communication Specialist here at Newman University. And today I have the pleasure of sitting down to talk with Richard Rico. Richard has been taking photos for us for the last 3 years. If you follow any of our athletic pages, or if you see any of the athletic posts that we make on our Facebook, Instagram, any of our social accounts, that's probably the work of Richard. He's just an absolute killer behind the lens. So we thought it'd be really cool to have him on to talk to him today and just maybe get some tips and get to know him a little bit better. So, Richard, how are you today?
Good morning. Good. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to sit down and chat about photography. That's cool.
Yeah. So just recently you were at the MIAA Championship taking pictures. How was that?
It was a lot of fun. Got to ride the bus up with the cheerleaders. Boy, that was a tough one, you know. But a lot of the other Newman staff was on there, and the radio guys, Blake, and so I have never not met him or talked to him much. So got to converse with him and just getting to know the Newman family, more people. I really enjoy it.
Sure. Yeah. So,
and yourself.
It was nice to get to
chat
work
with you.
alongside you.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, that was fun. Definitely an interesting experience having that a much larger gymnasium to work in and great lighting and.
Oh yeah, as a photographer, you're always looking for great lighting, right? That's your main source, and so I was pleased to see it. Yeah, it was exciting, and just to be able to capture that moment when, you know, our first year to be able to go up to that event and capture that for the coach and for those girls is very rewarding for me. So, let alone, you know, to capture something for them to remember that moment.
Absolutely. And so I guess we'll just kind of jump right in here. I know you've been shooting a lot of our different athletic sporting events over the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Where'd you start? What was the first genre, I guess?
Here on campus for Newman? I think I started with softball. You know, I was looking for a place here in town to shoot pictures. I'd been traveling out of town, and then I retired, so my income cut down considerably. So I wanted to watch. That's why I looked for somewhere here in town to come to. So I thought, what better than Newman? Because, you know, we have 3 universities here in town. Only one of them gets the big publicity. So I thought it's easy to get into their events, probably. I didn't know, but I came, started shooting softball, and then, of course, baseball was going on at the same time, so I'd sneak over and do a little baseball. I'm a big baseball fan, so that was my natural attraction to come to that. So those are probably the 2 sports I started with. I can't remember. I think maybe I might have done soccer, because I've done soccer before. So I might have hit some soccer, and maybe volleyball and tennis. I didn't do a whole lot the first year.
Sure. Kind
of got my nose in, but it was funny because the first game I come to, I meet all the staff of the communications guys and all that. They were there, so they introduced me, and then they told me, you know, would love, you know, great, you know. So I gave them my website, and they said, oh yeah, great, take as many as you want. So yeah, that was the beginning. So it was good.
Nice. And so I know you've been taking pictures with us for 3 years. Is that how long you've been kind of working with athletic photography in general, sports photography?
No, that's what started me in photography is in probably 73, 74. I picked up a camera, got interested in it, was doing film, and so shot a lot of rolls of film to get a few good pictures. But my brother was playing football, you know, high school. He was junior in high school, and I wanted to capture those moments for him. So I started taking his pictures, and then, of course, I'm from Mulvane, so that's where I was shooting, and then I shot the other sports after football season was over and got hooked up with a newspaper guy there and got some of my pictures printed there. And so that's what I've always been interested in sports. I haven't played sports, high school sports, you know. So when I got married, I didn't, you know, the photography thing went out the window because I was busy raising a family. So when I retired, I looking to keep myself busy, so I picked up the camera again, and so Newman's kept me very busy. Of course, you know, they leave it up to me. You know, so I've just tried to each year capture more of the sports, try to cover as much as I can. This year, I think I've done all the sports except one. So I've got to get in there and get it before the year's up.
So with that, what has been your favorite sport to capture while you've been coming?
I don't know. You know, I loved baseball when I came here, but I'd taken some soccer pictures in Oklahoma, and I really enjoyed that. It's a fast sport, and I didn't really know anything about soccer until I started shooting. And it's hard to shoot. It's hard to. It's a fast game, but a lot of athleticism in it, and you like capturing that. But I've learned that like all sports here at Newman, each one is they're involved. I've never shot tennis before I came here. Did a little bit of wrestling, not a lot. Bowling I've never shot. Cross country I've never shot. So those have all been very challenging for me to start into. So
yeah, I imagine each one kind of has its obstacle.
Yeah, that's stuff I've learned when you go up there. You know, where do I stand for cross country to get as many shots as I can? So the coach, you know, I found out the course. You know, went up and introduced myself to the coach, and he kind of told me a good spot to change so that I could get kind of a triangular area that I didn't have to walk far, because my legs are old legs anymore. They don't go that fast anymore. So I try to stay in that one area and capture some different angles and different scenes, and still be able to provide enough pictures for them. And so I don't know if I have a favorite sport. I like the challenge of each one of them. And they certainly bring, you know, lighting is the deal. So you go outdoor, indoor, you know, you got to have good lights. So I try to get, you know, so I guess it just as much as an athlete is performing to do his very best, I'm trying to do the same behind the camera. So, and it's provided me the opportunity to meet people like yourself, other photographers, chat and find out what works, and it's been a real blessing for me.
Great, that's awesome. So talking about lighting and knowing that there are several components that go into kind of balancing your shot with shutter speed and ISO and aperture, let's kind of talk a little bit about lenses and equipment in general. What is it that you use when you're out taking, you know, what's your go-to kit if you're gonna?
Well, I think the one I use the most is probably my 7200 lens, and it's a 2.8, so it lets in plenty of light in a low light situation, indoor stuff, which is, you know, as you know, you gotta have some lighting, so to capture anything. Otherwise, you're pushing your ISO so high, it gets your picture to get grainy. Then you got to edit them and clean them up, and they just don't look real great. So it's real challenging. You got to kind of do a little studying beforehand and research of what you want to capture that day. What's the situation going to be? I'm going to be indoors. Okay, I need to set my camera up and be ready as soon as I open that thing up to start shooting and start testing. And there's still lots of things that I'm still learning about how to make my pictures better, how to so they don't look the same, or that I get a better quality. But my 7200 I've used quite a bit. I have a 24, I think it's 105 for closer maybe stuff, you know. And but I don't use it a lot. I use it some in tennis to get them when they're close to the net, because I'm in between the courts shooting. So when they come right at me, a 7200 is a little bit too close.
Sure. And
so I might, you know, shoot a half hour, 45 minutes with the 7200, and switch over just to get a different picture, different look. And so those are the two lenses I think that I don't have any other fixed lenses yet that I would use, but that's it.
Okay, so zoom's more versatile depending on the situation.
Yeah, the 7200, and I do have a 2x converter that, you know, gets me out there a little bit further, but of course that takes an aperture away from you or whatever, so it depends. It's harder to focus sometimes. The mirrors, I guess, you know, right? Working with each other is challenging. So I think if I got another lens, I'd get a fixed lens of some sort. 400 or 500 something.
Yeah.
But you know,
With a monopod
Santa Claus would have to be real good to me. But those are expensive. Yeah, they do get pretty pricey. So really, I wouldn't have the equipment I've got if it wasn't for my sons. My sons bought me that as a Christmas gift, and I was shooting with some pretty cheap stuff before. But I was capturing things, it was outdoor stuff. But this stuff's a lot better.
Okay. So, again, like we talk a little about aperture and those lower number lenses that let in more light. With your shutter speed, have you found kind of a shutter speed for specific sports works best in capturing enough of the image but still leaving some blur in there? Do you just like to totally freeze everything?
No, I'm not a totally freeze guy. If I'm outdoors and got plenty of, you can push it 1,000 or better, I don't mind freezing. It's pretty cool to look at a ball frozen in the air, especially if you can capture a baseball or tennis ball or something. Or, with these athletes leaping and and capturing that, freezing that. It looks pretty cool. It's fun to capture. But I don't worry about it. I don't beat myself up if I don't capture it that way. I've noticed I probably shoot 500, anyway, 250 to 500 is a good range for me. I think I can capture and work with it. I don't mind the blur. It shows action, And to me, the main thing is capturing the moment, whether it's blurry or not. Of course, you don't want to be completely blurred.
Sure.
But if it's pretty good, I think that means more. At least my thinking, it means more is to capture that moment. It doesn't have to be. I think the digital age has kind of ruined us because everybody thinks it's too sharp, that it has to be tack sharp. Sports Illustrated. My pictures aren't going to be in Sports Illustrated.
Sure.
they're going to be a family in Brazil to be able to see their son or their daughter play here. They don't care if it's blurry. They just want to see their son, daughters. So that's what I'm trying to provide. Not only content for the university. I know I can help a university, which pleases me, and they're welcome to use my photos. But really, I think I'm here because I've raised 7 kids. I know I came from siblings, it's a family of 6. I know what those pictures mean to a mother, a father, grandmother, grandfather, aunt, uncles, and to those kids. Everybody wants their picture taken, right? And to capture that moment and to have something to look back on and to remember, because what does a picture mean? When you're looking at a picture, are you looking to see it crystal clear? You're not looking for that. You're looking for a memory that brings a warm feeling to your heart. You say, I love that picture.
Sure.
You're not saying, I love that because it's crystal clear. I love that because it reminds me of that moment. I remember that moment when, man, we were behind and I came, we were running, or whatever. Or that's my college years. That's something I worked really hard for. These student athletes are putting so much time into their sport. Then they have to put so much hours yet into their schooling. They're tremendous people. I get a lot of energy off of them. So for me to provide that for them and gosh, that means a lot to me. So I'm very humbled that God has provided me with a talent to be able to do that. And I get a lot more blessings out of doing this than what I put into it, because I've got to meet the university. I feel like the Newman University is a family to me now, and I love coming here. So
you've adopted so many more kids now.
It is true. It's true, and it's taken a little while because I'm a little bit shy about. I don't want to get into their space if they don't want me in there.
Sure.
So if they introduce me, if they want to come talk to me, then I'm wide open for that. I love it, and I love getting to know them. They're outstanding people, and to find out the things they're studying and they're majoring in, I'm going, why? You're doing this sport and all this time, and you're still majoring in a medical field, or you're going to be a doctor or whatever. It's just, and they're making 3.5 or 4.0 grades. They're amazing. So with that energy, I feed off their energy. That's great for me. Oh, guy, I gotta have some more energy.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's a wonderful feeling. Wonderful feeling.
So, for people who are interested in kind of maybe taking the same path you've taken, that they're just interested in taking pictures of various sports, do you have any kind of general tips for people that might be interested in starting?
Well, again, we've talked about the photography is an expensive deal. So you don't have to start out with the most expensive stuff, because you got to learn. You're going to have to learn. These expensive cameras got a lot of settings to them. And if you don't understand that, so then you're just, kind of you're not getting the full benefit out of it. So start out with something that's affordable for you, that you can move on, that you can learn. Start learning the photography, how to do camera settings, how to set up your photos. I think one thing, you just can't go out there and start pointing and shooting. You've got to look for someone, and I think one of the things is check your background. You don't want distracting things in your background. So get those angles and I'm talking about sports. Other people I've done a little bit of landscaping, but not a lot. But that's a lot of fun too. But for sports, I've got to make sure that the background looks good, that it brings my subject out. So that's one thing, a good tip I think I can give people. And then of course you're going to learn your lighting, right? Lighting's probably one, right? That background. And then you learn your different way to set up your cameras with your shutter speed. Is my shutter speed fast enough? I know some of the school photographers have come up to me, the students, and I'm getting these blurry pictures. That's the way, your shutter speed's too low. So just a few tips to show them, and and so you got to know your shutter speed, your ISO, and your aperture, and how those work together to get then your white balance, right? To have a good white balance so your skin colors come out good according to the lighting, whether it's sunlight or dark light, and you want to bring it out further. But probably it's all about angles. So I'll move around a lot trying to find a good angle, something that looks good on the camera, and it's going to look good when somebody looks at that picture. Your eye's going to go, right there. So you don't want that distraction in the background. You want to focus on your subject.
It's really just as much about the subject as it is about the location and that environment.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I've seen some of your pictures, your car pictures, and so they're great backgrounds too. You got to have a good, you don't want to. I know I took some golf pictures. There's a train in the background, and so, can't do much about it sometimes. You're shooting, and something moves, but and trying to find a location where somebody's not going to move in front of you. So sometimes I have to go high in a basketball game or something like that, go up in the stands and shoot down. I don't really necessarily like to have their back, but it's some way getting away from referees and other players or the crowd running and walking in front of my camera. And so as long as I can pick up their number, and maybe part of their face, it'll make a good picture. So, but sometimes I've taken plenty where it's just their back, but that player knows it's them. You see their number, and everybody's going to identify with that person, and anyway, because they know who it is. But that's another tip. I mean, you don't want you got to watch out for those. Basketball players go over here and block their faces. So I want to see at least their one eye. It's better to see more or capture it before they put their hands up. But that's the challenge.
And so kind of like what we talked a little bit earlier about, you were documenting the MIAA championship when we went earlier this year. Do you try to get a mix of wide, medium, and tight shots when you're covering an event, or do you prefer to do more tight shots? I mean, what's kind of your game plan when you go into that?
I think for some reason I like tight shots. I want them to see themselves, or sometimes I want to see them to be able to see their eye, their face, their eye. They're looking, that maybe, what they're looking at. But it doesn't always. I like to mix in a little bit, move back. That's one thing I've learned from my sons too, that they're videographers. So we went out and shot together at one time, some landscaping stuff. He looked at my picture and he says, well, let's see what this looks like. Let's step back a little bit and see what that looks like. Bam, boy, you know, that was it. That made a lot better shot than what I was looking at before. So, yeah, you got to be willing and not afraid to mix it up a little bit. So, yeah, I try to move up, move back. And sometimes the impact of the picture is better, fuller frame of the area. Say the basketball court and all the people that are there, the teams are all jumping up and down, or at the end of the game or something, or the crowd are storming the court. You know, you don't want to have to be tight. You've missed everybody else that's jumping up and down. So yeah, I try to mix it up, but then again, you got to have the right lens on for
Sure.
when that happens. So you got to anticipate a little bit, right? So if it's getting toward the end of the game, it's really close, and you're thinking, hey, we may win this championship. You know, what do I want to capture? So you got to think ahead, right? I got to get this telephoto lens out of the way because I want to capture the celebration. So yeah, those things you think of ahead and try to have the right lens available or on, so that it don't have to be real quick and you're going to miss it.
So you've always kind of got a game plan when you're going into these things.
A little bit, yeah. I think you definitely got to go in and be thinking about, how do I capture this special moment here? And I don't know if I always do that, but it is definitely something. I think for you to come out with a good picture, because I think sometimes when you think about it long enough, right? If you see it, to vision it first, and then it'll happen. It happens in front of you, and you go, "Wow, this is what I was looking for." So I think you got to think about it. You got to vision seeing this victory or this defeat or this picture that I want to capture, to tell. If you had one picture, right, to tell about that moment. So yeah, those are fun to capture.
Manifest destiny, I think, is that what they call that?
Yeah, but it's cool to capture, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so when you are covering these different events and things, is it just as much about the crowd as it is about the players?
Yeah, I try to. Well, I don't know how recently, but normally I try to capture. Crowd's a big part of it. They give you a lot of energy, and they're I've done a lot of cheerleader pictures because I think they're a big part of the energy that gives to the team. It's the spirit of the school, spirit of the team. And those cheerleaders work. I'm gonna tell you, they work as hard as those athletes do at what they do. I've come to know them pretty well, and they're just outstanding people. They work really hard and come up with injuries just like the athletes do. You got to be careful. So, yeah, I love to capture the excitement of the crowd or something like that. Yeah, so I look for it during the game. Yeah.
Okay. So I think we've kind of covered what you have shot, and you're always working. You said you have one more that you haven't had a chance to capture yet here at Newman, but what's a sport that you would like to photograph that you haven't had a chance to photograph yet? Not necessarily the one that you haven't photographed here, but in general. Is there any type of sport that you would just really like to be able to, whether it's courtside or trackside, whatever it is?
Yeah, you know what? I did some rodeo stuff too before, so some little small stuff. That was a lot of fun, but boy, I tell you what, you can get hurt if you're standing in the wrong spot, and so you got to be careful. But that's a lot of fun. The power of an animal, and then the athlete trying to ride that, or even if it's roping or something. And I just love capturing those moments, and so you can get adults and children in that. So that's fun. I mean, I've shot that, so I don't really know I haven't thought too much about a sport that I haven't shot yet that I would like to. So
there's no bucket list.
Not really. I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now, so I haven't thought of venturing out of anything new they don't have football, so I'm not shooting football. I shoot some junior college football for a friend. So football is another fun one that I like to shoot. But most of those sports, you're trying to pick out the right spot where, again, somebody's not running in front of you and ruining your picture. But sometimes it's just part of the game, part of the picture taking. You got to take that chance. So, yeah.
And with the rodeo stuff that you're mentioning, so were you actually like in the arena?
Well, the first time I shot that, it was just it wasn't a full-blown rodeo. It was just like some bull riding and stuff. So they had the arena cut off about halfway, you know. So they had some fenced area, you know, it was fenced. So I went inside, stood behind that, and got closer shots as they were coming out of the gate and stuff. Gosh, I had some nice shots. And so, you know, everybody's got a camera nowadays because they carry it in their pocket, right? It's a phone. And but other people, you know, the digital age has made it easy for people to kind of put it on automatic, take some pictures. And but for me is getting a better picture than what they're going to be able to take, you know, and making it artistic, thinking of a different angle, using a different lens. You know, I can't. Because of my age and my body won't let me get low and flexible down like I want to. But you know, how do I get a cool shot, a low or high, above, you know, or whatever. So I'm always trying to think about that different shot. So that's very challenging because sometimes my mind will be gone sleeping and I'm not thinking about it. I'm not sharp. So you got to be kind of sharp and always thinking, always ready for that last shot. I've caught myself talking, you know, because once people start talking about it, I like to talk to them. So I'm talking, bam, I said, oh, that'd have been a good shot. I missed it, I watched it. So always being ready to shoot. That's another tip. Boy, you gotta be ready. I shot one this weekend, and it was a simple thing of trying to get somebody to smile that doesn't smile a lot, you know, in their sport. And so I told another one of the athletes, I said, I'm gonna catch her smiling here, you know. I'm waiting for it. It's gonna happen someday. Well, it happened. I mean, she won and she grinned, she smiled, and so I was able to get it. So it's just like you say, you got to be ready. When you're working, when you're shooting, you better be ready. You know, don't be there to eat the hamburgers that are good, or you know, or hot dogs, or talk too much. So it's very challenging for me to keep my mouth shut because when I meet somebody new, I want to talk and get to know them, and there I am. I might be tired of shooting. You know, I might have shot, you know, 200 or 300 pictures already in the first half, and so I know, well, I don't need a whole lot. I can talk. Well, then something happens right in front of me, but anyway.
Okay. Well, I think that really kind of wraps up all the questions that I have. Is there anything else that you wanted to, any other tips or advice for anybody that might be interested in this kind of thing? Or?
No, I've had some people come up to me and talk, you know, and say, hey, I'm interested. I wanted to take a photography class. So, you know, go for it. You know, if that's something that is stirred in your heart to do, I think you should do it and try it, and don't be afraid and to do it. So I battled with that too. You know, don't be afraid to step and do something new with your photography, because sometimes, you know, the best shots you get of your family is going to be from yourself. You know that person better than anybody else, right? So that picture is going to mean more to you because you know how they act. You know, that picture that you're going to take is going to take you back to when maybe they were little kids, and it reminded you, you know, he acted the same way in this picture of his college days as he did, you know, when he was a little boy. He did the same thing. I don't know that about him, but you do.
Sure.
So you can capture that. So, yeah, just don't be afraid. I mean, you can get cheap enough cameras that will capture those pictures for you. And don't be afraid to get in close. You know, a lot of people that I see with cameras will way back, well, come down here, stand by me. I'm not going to bite you. They think that that's not an area they should be in, but no, you move in close and get close, and so, yeah. So, yeah, do it. The world's going by too fast. You got to capture it and keep that memories and keep those pictures in the cloud.
Absolutely.
Save them.
Yeah. So, if people want to see more of your work, where can they go? Well,
I do most of my snapshots on Facebook. I have my own personal account, and I didn't want people going to that. I didn't want to have to post them on that and have a bunch of people. So I created snapshots. So it's snapshots at Get My Snapshots, lowercase altogether. So that's where I put the Newman pictures and stuff like that. So.
And that's all on Facebook?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I've got set up now. So, yeah, it's a lot of pictures. It's a lot of editing time for me.
Yeah.
I think Homecoming was the most I've shot this year. Of course, it was senior night. Senior boys, senior girls, cheerleaders, seniors, and then Brittany had her 1,000th point. So I think I took 900 pictures that day.
Oh man.
So I had to go home and edit them. Of course, it's pretty easy. Of course, a lot, with the fast shutter, you're taking several and then you're picking out one. So but it takes some time to go through those. But it's rewarding when, they're clear, they're nice.
Yeah.
And you got a nice picture for those students to have and those families to have.
You got to start looking into GIFs when you do those, those like bursts of photos. See if you can blend those together and make a short animated shot that you can throw on your Facebook and see.
And learning something from it. Yeah, okay.
That could be pretty cool. I've done that before. It looks neat when you do that. So might be an opportunity if you're going to do burst shooting with some of this stuff to just try it once in a while.
That's a good tip. We'll have to talk about it after this is over a little more. So this is good. Good. Okay. I haven't tried that. So that's what I mean. I mean, there's people do different tricks and different things, and to be able to share that and learn something, I definitely got a whole room, or lots of room to learn more, to make my pictures better. So, and the one thing is taking a quality picture in the beginning, so you don't have to do a lot of editing. Mm-hmm. So that's sometimes I get in a hurry, and don't think about that enough, and then I pay for it when I have to edit. So, so it's a tip for people to get a good picture in the beginning.
Yeah, there's just always something to learn. Seems like you learn that next thing, and then there's another thing.
And there's always changing. Then I mean, with these cameras in your pocket thing, I've seen a lot of people take some pretty cool shots of those. Mm-hmm. Those selfie pictures or whatever they're taking, and the students, and gosh, I said, wow, I never thought about that angle, but that looks nice, And so, yeah, that old camera it's like you got a paintbrush, right? You're painting your own picture there, telling that story. So that's fun. My dad was an artist, so I think that's where I'm get a lot of the artistic part of it, to be an artist with it. And he did the same thing. He always painted beautiful pictures and gave them to people to make them happy, or birthdays or celebrations or whatever it was. He did a lot of big murals of high school proms and all that stuff. So I got a lot of my desire for that art from him. So I think about him a lot when I'm doing this. So anyway, it's
nice when it's in the family, kind of the legacy of your parents.
Yeah, and so I'm excited that my sons have picked up the video thing, because I credit that back to my father, and because he showed it to me. I showed it to them somehow in a small way in my photography, and they're really good at what they do. And one of them is a really great still photographer. He's really, really good. I'm learning a lot from them guys. They take me out whenever they get able to come home and show me some stuff. So, yeah, it's lots of fun. It's a lifetime class. Learning all the time. Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to come in and talk about this today. I know there's so much to learn with photography, and for me, it's a hobby for me outside of my job. I love to take pictures too, and I know we have a lot of students that are always interested in getting involved with our athletics department and finding ways to help out, and it's fun. It's fun to take pictures.
Yeah.
Especially when you're part of that team and you're a teammate, and being able to capture those moments with your teammates. And they have a whole different lens they view things from than people like you and I that are there covering it from a more professional standpoint, because they're really in there with their team. So I just really appreciate you taking the time, and just know that all of us here at Newman are so thankful. We know how lucky we are to have somebody like you that has joined our family and is willing to invest your free time and capture these moments for us. It's an incredible gift that you give us, and we really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. All praise and honor to God. He's the one that sent me here and gives me those gifts every day. So very thankful. Thanks for having me on. It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
And thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Newman Bond. If you'd like to get more information about Newman or our podcast, you can visit newmanu.edu. We release new episodes the first and third Tuesday of every month, so feel free to, you can check them out on Facebook. We also put them on YouTube. Thanks so much, and have a great day.